The morning sky above Seoul turned dark as massive ships blocked out the sun. Commander Lee Do-hyun stood on the roof of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters and watched the alien fleet descend through the clouds. The ships were unlike anything humans had ever built. They looked like giant crystals that caught and bent light in strange ways. Each one was bigger than a city block, and they moved without making any sound at all. Lee Do-hyun had been expecting this day for 3 years now. The Deep Space Monitoring Stations had detected the alien fleet when it was still months away from Earth. The signals they sent ahead of their arrival were not friendly. They demanded complete surrender and told humans to prepare for what they called productive integration into the Veltharian Empire. The aliens made it clear that resistance would be met with total destruction. Inside the command center below, hundreds of military officers and scientists worked at their stations. The main screen showed dozens of alien ships taking positions around Earth. Some hovered over major cities while others stayed in high orbit. Dr. Park Min-ji rushed into the command center carrying a tablet full of data. She had been working for weeks to understand the alien technology from the signals they had intercepted. "Commander Lee," she said as she approached his desk, "I have finished analyzing their communications. These aliens call themselves the Veltharian Empire. They have conquered 47 other star systems before coming here. Every single planet they visited was forced to surrender within days." Lee Do-hyun looked at the data on her tablet. The Veltharians had a simple method for conquest. They would arrive at a planet with overwhelming force and demand immediate surrender. If the planet refused, they would destroy major cities until the population gave up. If the planet agreed right away, they would take control of the government and turn the entire population into workers for their empire. "What about their technology?" Lee Do-hyun asked. Dr. Park Min-ji scrolled through more data on her tablet. "Their ships use some kind of energy shield that can stop missiles and laser weapons. Their soldiers wear powered armor that makes them incredibly strong and fast. They also have weapons that can level entire buildings with one shot. Our current military technology cannot match what they have." Lieutenant Choi Sora was monitoring alien communications from her station across the room. She had been listening to the Veltharian fleet since they entered Earth's solar system. The aliens spoke in their own language, but Earth's computers had been working to translate everything they said. "Commander," Choi Sora called out, "the alien fleet is broadcasting a message to all of Earth. They want every government leader to come to their main ship for surrender talks." Lee Do-hyun walked over to her station and put on a headset to listen to the alien message. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and mechanical. It spoke perfect English, but with no emotion at all. "Humans of the third planet," the voice said, "you will now become part of the Veltharian Empire. Your leaders must report to our command ship within 12 of your hours. You will surrender all military forces and prepare your population for work assignments. Any resistance will result in the immediate destruction of your major population centers. This is not a negotiation. This is your only option for survival." The message ended, and the command center fell silent. Everyone knew that Earth's military could not fight ships that advanced. The aliens had technology that was hundreds of years ahead of anything humans had developed. Earth's most powerful nuclear weapons would probably not even scratch their shields. But Lee Do-hyun was not thinking about surrender. He was thinking about something his grandfather had told him when he was young. His grandfather had fought in wars where his side was completely outnumbered and outgunned. He had learned that sometimes the best way to fight a stronger enemy was not to fight them the way they expected. "Dr. Park," Lee Do-hyun said, "how long do we have before they expect our surrender?" "The message said 12 hours, she replied. "But based on their pattern with other planets, they will probably wait up to 72 hours before they start attacking cities." Lee Do-hyun nodded and turned to address everyone in the command center. "Listen carefully. We are not going to surrender to these aliens. We are also not going to fight them in the way they expect us to fight. We are going to do something they have never seen before." Captain Kim Hyok had been quietly listening from his position near the tactical displays. He commanded a special operations unit that was trained for unconventional warfare. "What do you have in mind, Commander?" "We are going to disappear," Lee Do-hyun said. "The aliens expect us to either surrender or fight them with our military, in open battle. Instead, we are going to evacuate all major cities and move our operations underground. We will make them think that Earth is empty while we prepare for a different kind of war. Dr. Park Minji looked confused. But Commander, their sensors can detect human life signs anywhere on the planet. They will know we have not actually disappeared. That is exactly what I want them to think, Lee Do-hyun replied. They will see that humans are still alive, but hiding in small groups. They will think we are just scared civilians trying to avoid them. They will not expect us to be organizing a resistance. The plan that Lee Do-hyun explained was unlike anything Earth's military had ever attempted. Instead of trying to match the aliens' advanced technology, they would use Earth's greatest advantage against them. Humans knew their own planet better than any alien could. They knew every tunnel, every cave, every hidden place where people could hide and work without being detected. Over the next few hours, emergency broadcasts went out to every major city on Earth. The message was simple. Everyone needed to leave the cities immediately and go to designated safe areas in rural locations and underground facilities. The evacuation had been planned for months after the first alien signals were detected. Private Yoon Jamin was part of a special unit stationed in the Amazon rainforest. His job was to help local indigenous communities set up hidden camps where they could monitor alien activities and prepare for guerrilla operations. The thick jungle canopy would make it almost impossible for alien sensors to get accurate readings of human positions. Sergeant Bae Jin-hwan was in charge of setting up underground command posts in major cities around the world. These facilities had been built in secret over the past 3 years. They were designed to be completely hidden from any kind of scanning technology the aliens might have. As night fell over Earth, the Veltharian fleet waited for human leaders to arrive at their command ship. Admiral Kreshatar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the planet below. He had conquered so many worlds that this had become routine for him. Humans were just another primitive species that would soon be working for the glory of the Veltharian Empire. Admiral, one of his officers reported. We are not detecting any movement toward our command ship. The human leaders have not responded to our demands. Admiral Kreshatar was not surprised. Sometimes primitive species needed time to accept their fate. Give them more time, he said. They will come when they realize they have no other choice. But down on Earth, Lee Do-hyun and his team were not preparing for surrender. They were preparing for the kind of war that the mighty Veltharian Empire had never faced before. A war where the strongest technology in the galaxy would face the most stubborn and creative species that had ever evolved on any planet. The first Veltharian landing ships touched down in the empty streets of Seoul just as the sun was rising. The alien soldiers that emerged from the ships moved with mechanical precision. Each soldier wore a powered exoskeleton that made them twice as tall as a normal human and gave them incredible strength. Their weapons could punch holes through concrete walls, and their armor could stop any bullet that Earth's military could fire at them. Captain Kim Hyok watched the alien patrol from a hidden camera he had placed in an abandoned building. The aliens were walking through the city center looking for government officials to accept their surrender demands. They moved slowly and carefully, scanning every building with handheld devices that could detect life signs through solid walls. From his position in the subway tunnels beneath the city, Kim Hyok could see that the aliens were confused by what they found. Seoul was completely empty. Every building, every street, every public space was deserted. The only signs of human presence were the abandoned cars and scattered personal belongings that people had left behind during the evacuation. Field. Commander Thekvar led the main patrol through the government district. He had conquered dozens of planets for the Veltharian Empire, and this was the first time he had seen anything like this. Usually, when the Empire arrived at a planet, the local population would gather in large crowds to either surrender or protest. But Earth's major cities were like ghost towns. Command, this is Thekvar, he spoke into his communication device. The human capital appears to be completely abandoned. We are not finding any government officials or military personnel. Our sensors show scattered life signs in rural areas, but nothing in the urban centers. Back on the command ship, Science Minister Velthok was studying the data from the landing teams. He had spent his entire career analyzing primitive civilizations and helping to plan their integration into the Empire. The human response was unlike anything in the Empire's records. Fascinating, Velthok said to Admiral Kreshatar. "These humans appear to have fled their major population centers. This suggests they are more intelligent than most primitive species, but also more cowardly. They understand they cannot fight us, so they are hiding instead." Admiral Kreshatar nodded as he reviewed the reports from other landing sites around Earth. The same pattern was repeated everywhere. London, New York, Tokyo, Moscow, all of the major human cities were empty. The aliens had expected to find millions of people waiting to surrender. Instead, they found nothing but empty buildings. "Perhaps this will make our job easier," Admiral Kreshatar said. "If the humans are hiding in small groups, it will be simple to round them up once we establish control of their infrastructure." Lieutenant Choi Sora was monitoring all Veltharian communications from her hidden command post deep underground. The facility had been built inside an old mine shaft and was completely invisible to alien sensors. She listened as the aliens discussed their confusion about Earth's empty cities. The aliens were making exactly the mistake that Commander Lee Do-hyun had hoped they would make. They thought that humans were hiding because they were afraid. They did not understand that humans were positioning themselves for a completely different kind of war. Dr. Park Minji was working in her secret laboratory studying pieces of alien technology that had been recovered from a crashed scout ship. The Veltharians had lost the small vessel 3 days earlier when it malfunctioned during atmospheric entry. Earth's recovery teams had reached the crash site before the aliens could retrieve their technology. What Dr. Park Minji discovered as she examined the alien equipment changed everything about Earth's chances in the coming conflict. The Veltharian technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also specialized in very specific ways. Their energy shields were designed to stop the types of weapons that other advanced civilizations used in space battles. Their powered armor was built to fight against energy weapons and projectile firearms. But the aliens had never fought against some of the technologies that humans had developed. Their shields operated on specific frequency patterns that could be disrupted by certain types of electromagnetic pulses. Their armor had joints and hydraulic systems that could be damaged by attacks they were not designed to handle. Most importantly, Dr. Park Minji realized that the aliens relied completely on their technology for everything. They had not fought a war against an enemy that used improvised weapons or unconventional tactics in hundreds of years. Every civilization they had conquered had tried to fight them with advanced technology and had failed. Private Yoon Jae-min was setting up observation posts throughout the Amazon rainforest. The local indigenous communities had been eager to help once they understood that the aliens planned to enslave the entire human population. These people had lived in the jungle for thousands of years and knew how to move through it without being detected by any kind of technology. The thick canopy of the rainforest made it impossible for alien sensors to get accurate readings of what was happening on the ground. Yoon Jae-min worked with local guides to establish hidden camps where resistance fighters could train and prepare weapons for guerrilla operations against the alien forces. Sergeant Bae Jin-wan was coordinating similar operations in urban areas around the world. His teams had spent months before the alien arrival creating hidden supply depots and safe houses in every major city. These facilities were built inside abandoned subway tunnels, forgotten basement levels, and natural cave systems that existed beneath many urban areas. The aliens continued their patrols through empty cities, becoming more frustrated with each passing hour. They had brought enough firepower to destroy Earth's entire military in a direct confrontation, but there was no military to fight. Their advanced sensors could detect human life signs scattered across the planet, but only in small groups that appeared to be civilians hiding in remote areas. Field Commander Thekvar established a command post in Seoul's government building. From there, he could coordinate search operations throughout the region. His soldiers were checking every building and underground area they could find, but they were not discovering any organized resistance or military installations. "These humans are more primitive than we initially assessed," Thekvar reported to the command ship. "They appear to have abandoned their major infrastructure without any plan for organized resistance. Their scattered population should be easy to collect once we establish permanent garrisons in their urban centers." What Thekvar did not know was that Captain Kim Hyok and his team were watching every move the aliens made from their hidden positions in the subway system. They were carefully mapping alien patrol routes, studying their equipment, and identifying weaknesses in their defensive positions. The aliens had made their first major mistake by underestimating human intelligence and planning. capabilities. They assumed that the empty cities meant humans had panicked and fled without any organization. They did not consider that the evacuation might be part of a larger strategy. Science Minister Velthok continued his analysis of human behavior from the safety of the command ship. He had concluded that humans were a typical primitive species that relied on fear-based decision-making when confronted with superior technology. His reports to Admiral Kreshatar reinforced the belief that Earth would be conquered just as easily as all the other planets in the Empire. As the first day of occupation ended, Admiral Kreshatar was confident that human resistance would collapse within hours once they began rounding up the scattered population groups. He had no idea that every alien movement was being monitored and that humans were preparing weapons and tactics that the mighty Veltharian Empire had never encountered before. The aliens settled in for what they expected to be a routine occupation and pacification operation. They had no way of knowing that they had just walked into the most dangerous trap that any species had ever set for them. The 72-hour deadline passed without any human government coming forward to surrender. Admiral Kreshatar stood on the bridge of his command ship and watched Earth rotate slowly beneath him. He had given the humans more time than any other species in Veltharian history, but they continued to hide in their scattered groups instead of accepting the inevitable. Begin the demonstration attacks, Admiral Kreshatar ordered his weapons officers. Target empty areas near major population centers. Show these humans what will happen if they continue to resist. The first energy beams struck the ground outside. Seoul, just as Captain Kim Hyok was preparing to move his team into position. The alien weapons carved deep craters in the earth and turned sand into glass. The display of power was meant to terrify humans into surrender, but it had the opposite effect. Commander Lee Do-yun's voice suddenly filled every communication channel on Earth. The aliens had taken control of most broadcasting systems, but Earth's engineers had found ways to override their signals. Lee Do-yun's message was broadcast to every human hiding place and every alien listening post at the same time. "People of Earth," Lee Do-yun said, his voice calm and steady. "The aliens think they can scare us into giving up. They think their advanced weapons make them unstoppable. But they have made one critical mistake. They have never fought against humans before." The message continued as alien communication officers frantically tried to block the signal. "You want to know what real power feels like? Let us show you." All across Earth, resistance cells that had been waiting in hidden positions suddenly sprang into action. The coordinated attack was unlike anything the Veltharian Empire had ever experienced. Humans did not try to fight the aliens with advanced technology or powerful weapons. Instead, they used tactics that the aliens had never seen before. In Seoul, Captain Kim Hyok led his team out of the subway tunnels through maintenance passages that the aliens did not know existed. They carried devices that Dr. Park Min-ji had designed based on her analysis of captured alien technology. The devices were simple electromagnetic pulse generators built from common electronic components. The alien patrol that was guarding the government building never saw the attack coming. Kim Hyok's team positioned their EMP devices around the aliens' powered exoskeletons and activated them simultaneously. The electromagnetic pulse shut down the aliens' armor systems instantly, leaving them trapped inside several tons of dead weight. Without their powered armor, the aliens were helpless. They could not move, they could not communicate with their command ship, and they could not use their weapons. Kim Hyok's team quickly collected the aliens' equipment and disappeared back into the underground tunnels before reinforcements could arrive. Similar attacks were happening in every major city around the world. Human resistance fighters emerged from hidden positions, struck at isolated alien patrols, and vanished before the aliens could respond. The attacks were precisely coordinated to hit multiple targets at exactly the same time. In the Amazon rainforest, Private Yoon Jimin worked with indigenous fighters to attack an alien resource extraction site. The aliens had begun mining operations in remote areas, thinking they would be safe from human interference. They did not understand how well humans could move through jungle terrain. The attack came from all directions at once. Humans appeared from behind trees, dropped from overhead branches, and emerged from underground hiding places. They used simple weapons like modified hunting rifles and improvised explosives, but they attacked with perfect knowledge of the terrain and the aliens' blind spots. The aliens' advanced sensors were designed to work in open space or urban environments. In the dense jungle, their technology was almost useless. They could not track targets that moved through the thick vegetation, and they could not distinguish between humans and the natural wildlife that lived in the forest. Dr. Park Minji's research had been distributed to resistance cells around the world through hidden communication networks. She had discovered that alien shields operated on specific frequencies that could be disrupted by resonance attacks. Human engineers quickly built weapons that could generate sound waves at exactly the right frequency to shatter alien crystalline. Technology. Lieutenant Choi Sora coordinated global communications from her underground command center. She used quantum encryption methods that the aliens could not decode to keep all resistance cells in contact with each other. Every alien movement was tracked, analyzed, and reported to human fighters in real time. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. When they sent reinforcements to one area, humans would attack somewhere else. When they tried to track human communications, they found only encrypted signals they could not break. When they attempted to use their superior firepower, humans simply disappeared and attacked from a different direction. Field Commander Thekvar was becoming increasingly frustrated with the human resistance. His soldiers were trained to fight other advanced civilizations that used energy weapons and force fields. They had no experience fighting against enemies that used improvised weapons and guerrilla tactics. These humans fight like animals, Thekvar reported to Admiral Kreshatar. They do not engage in honorable combat. They hide, they ambush, they run away before we can respond. This is not how civilized species conduct warfare. Admiral Kreshatar was equally confused by the human response. Every other species the Empire had conquered had tried to match Veltharian technology with their own advanced weapons. Humans were doing something completely different. They were using the aliens' technological superiority against them. Sergeant Bei Jinhuan led a team that captured an entire alien command post using nothing but modified construction equipment and careful planning. The aliens had established their base in what they thought was a secure location, but they had not considered that humans might attack from underground. Bai Jinhuan's team used mining tools to dig tunnels that led directly beneath the alien facility. They planted explosives that created sinkholes under the aliens' heavy equipment, trapping their vehicles and weapons in deep pits. When the confused aliens tried to escape, humans emerged from hidden positions and captured them using nets and non-lethal restraint devices. The captured aliens were more valuable than their weapons. Under careful interrogation, they revealed information about Veltharian technology, tactics, and command structure. Dr. Park Minji used this intelligence to develop even more effective ways to disrupt alien equipment and communications. As the first week of fighting continued, the aliens realized they were facing something unprecedented in their history of conquest. The humans were not just resisting. They were actively learning and adapting their tactics faster than the aliens could respond. Science Minister Velthok spent days analyzing human behavior patterns, trying to find some weakness that could be exploited. But everything he discovered made the situation worse. Humans seemed to treat the alien invasion as a learning experience. Every failed attack taught them something new about alien technology, and every successful operation made them more confident and aggressive. The most disturbing discovery was that humans were actually enjoying the fight. Intercepted communications showed that human resistance fighters were celebrating their victories and eagerly planning more ambitious attacks. They were not acting like a conquered population trying to survive. They were acting like predators that had found new prey. Admiral Kreshatar called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. The situation on Earth was becoming impossible to control with conventional occupation tactics. The aliens had superior technology and overwhelming firepower, but they could not fight an enemy that refused to engage them directly. "Perhaps we should consider orbital bombardment," one officer suggested. "If we destroy their major cities, the humans will have no choice but to surrender." "That would eliminate the labor force we came here to acquire," Admiral Kreshatar replied. "The Empire wants these humans as workers, not corpses. We need to find another way to break their resistance." But down on Earth, Commander Lee Do-hyun was already planning the next phase of human resistance. The first week had been about proving that humans could fight back against impossible odds. The next phase would be about showing the aliens what happened when humans stopped playing defense and started taking the offensive. 3 weeks into the invasion, the Veltharian Empire was experiencing something they had never encountered before: fear. Admiral Kreshatar received daily reports of alien casualties that should have been impossible. Humans were not just resisting, they were winning battles against forces that should have been able to destroy them effortlessly. The breakthrough came when Dr. Park Minji made a discovery that changed everything about the conflict. While studying captured Veltharian neural interface technology, she realized that the aliens' crystalline biology made them vulnerable to a type of quantum interference that human computers could generate. Working in her hidden laboratory, Dr. Park Minji developed a virus that could be transmitted through Veltharian communication networks. The virus did not damage their systems directly. Instead, it caused their neural interfaces to receive false information, making alien soldiers see things that were not there and miss things that were right in front of them. Lieutenant Choi Sora was the first to test the new weapon during an alien patrol in Seoul. She transmitted Dr. Park Minji's virus through a captured alien communication device. Within minutes, the entire Veltharian patrol began firing at empty buildings, while human resistance fighters walked past them completely unnoticed. The virus spread through alien networks faster than their technicians could stop it. Soon, Veltharian soldiers across Earth were reporting phantom human attacks, while real human fighters moved freely through areas that should have been heavily guarded. Captain Kim Hyok used the confusion to lead a daring raid on the main alien command post in Seoul. His team walked directly through the front entrance, while the alien guards were distracted by false sensor readings. They captured the facility's central computer core and downloaded complete files on Veltharian military operations throughout the galaxy. The information that Kim Hyok retrieved revealed something that shocked the human resistance leaders. The Veltharian Empire was not as powerful as they claimed to be. They had conquered 47 star systems, but most of those conquests had been achieved through intimidation rather than actual military superiority. The aliens relied on a strategy of overwhelming technological display to convince primitive civilizations to surrender without fighting. When they did encounter resistance, they used massive orbital bombardments to destroy planetary infrastructure and force populations to submit through starvation and desperation. But Earth was different. Humans had prepared for guerrilla warfare and had distributed their population and resources in ways that made orbital bombardment ineffective. The aliens could destroy cities, but the real human resistance was operating from hidden facilities that their sensors could not detect. Commander Lee Do-hyun realized that the Empire's greatest weakness was their dependence on technological superiority. They had become so accustomed to easy victories that they had never developed tactics for fighting a determined and creative enemy. Sergeant Bae Jin-hwan proved this theory when he led an attack on a Veltharian orbital platform using captured alien shuttles. The aliens never considered that humans might steal their own spacecraft and use them for assault operations. Bae Jin-hwan's team flew directly through the platform's defenses, which were programmed to recognize their shuttles as friendly vessels. Once inside the orbital platform, the humans discovered that Veltharian security was designed to prevent escapes, not intrusions. The aliens had never fought an enemy clever enough to infiltrate their own installations. Bae Jin-hwan's team easily captured the platform's control systems and turned its weapons against other alien ships in orbit. Private Yoon Jae-min had similar success in the Amazon, where he led indigenous fighters in an attack that captured an entire Veltharian fleet command ship. The aliens had landed the ship in what they thought was a secure clearing, not realizing that humans could approach through underground river systems that their sensors could not detect. The capture of the command ship provided humans with something they had never expected to acquire: faster-than-light travel technology. Dr. Park Minji worked frantically to understand the alien systems, while human engineers reverse-engineered the ship's critical components. What they discovered was that Veltharian technology was actually quite simple once you understood the basic principles. The aliens had developed their systems over thousands of years, but they had not made any major innovations in centuries. They were using the same designs and tactics that had worked against primitive civilizations for generations. Humans, on the other hand, were improving their capabilities every single day. Earth's engineers were combining captured alien technology with human innovation to create weapons and systems that were more advanced than anything the Veltharians had ever seen. Lieutenant Colonel Park Sun-ho became the first human to command a captured Veltharian cruiser when his team successfully infiltrated and seized control of one of the Empire's most advanced warships. The aliens had never imagined that humans could learn to operate their technology so quickly. Park Sun-ho's cruiser began attacking other alien ships in Earth's orbit, using Veltharian weapons against their former owners. The sight of their own advanced technology being used against them caused panic throughout the alien fleet. Science Minister Velthok worked desperately to find some way to counter the human tactics, but every solution he developed was quickly overcome by human adaptability. The aliens would implement new security measures, and humans would find ways around them within hours. The most frightening discovery for the Veltharians was that humans seemed to actually get stronger and smarter when they were under pressure. Instead of breaking down under stress like most species, humans became more creative and more determined to find solutions to impossible problems. Admiral Kreshatar watched his fleet reports with growing horror. Half of his ships had been damaged or captured by human attacks. His ground forces were trapped in a guerrilla war they could not win. His communication networks were infected with viruses that made reliable coordination impossible. But the worst news came when his sensors detected human ships leaving Earth's orbit. The humans had not only learned to operate captured Veltharian technology, they had begun building improved versions using their own manufacturing capabilities. Commander Lee Do-hyun stood on the bridge of Earth's first human-built starship, which incorporated the best features of Veltharian technology with human engineering improvements. The ship was faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed than anything in the alien fleet. Admiral Kreshatar, Lee Do-hyun said, as he opened communication channels with the Veltharian command ship. This is Commander Lee Do-hyun of the United Earth Defense Force. We are no longer the primitive civilization you came here to conquer. We have learned everything your technology can teach us, and we have made it better. The message continued as human ships took positions around the remaining alien vessels. You came here expecting to find weak prey. Instead, you have created the most dangerous enemy your empire has ever faced. We are offering you one chance to surrender and leave our solar system peacefully. Admiral Kreshatar realized that the Veltharian Empire was facing a complete military disaster. The humans had not only defeated his invasion force, they had captured enough technology and knowledge to threaten the Empire's core worlds. For the first time in Veltharian history, an alien commander was forced to consider surrender to a species they had intended to enslave. The humans had done something that should have been impossible. They had turned a technological disadvantage into a strategic victory through pure determination and creativity. The tables had completely turned, and now it was the mighty Veltharian Empire that was trapped and helpless while humans held all the advantages in their own solar system. 6 months after the Veltharian invasion began, Admiral Kreshatar found himself sitting across from Commander Lee Do-hyun in the conference room of his own flagship. The irony was not lost on him that he was now negotiating with the primitive humans he had come to enslave, and he was doing it aboard a ship that humans had captured and modified with their own improvements. The Korean commander who sat across from him bore little resemblance to the desperate defender who had watched alien ships descend on Earth half a year ago. Lee Do-hyun now commanded a fleet of hybrid human Veltharian ships that were more advanced than anything the Empire had ever built. His uniform bore the insignia of humanity's first interstellar navy. We still do not understand how this happened, Admiral Kreshatar said through his translator device. Your species had barely achieved orbital flight when we arrived. Your weapons could not penetrate our shields. Your technology was centuries behind ours. How did you achieve complete victory? Dr. Park Min-ji, who now held the title of Chief of Human Xenotechnology, operated the conference room's controls with ease. The same technology that had once been beyond human comprehension was now as familiar to her as the computer systems she had used before the invasion. You made the same mistake that bullies always make, she replied calmly. You assumed that having better tools made you better fighters. You never considered that we might take your tools away from you and use them more effectively than you ever did. The negotiations had been going on for 3 days, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Veltharian Empire was in no position to make demands. More than half of their invasion fleet had been captured or destroyed. The remaining ships were surrounded by human vessels that used improved versions of their own technology. Captain Kim Hyok, now commanding his own captured cruiser, had spent the morning demonstrating human improvements to Veltharian ship design. The aliens watched in amazement as human engineers showed them more efficient power systems, better weapons targeting, and defensive capabilities that surpassed anything in the Empire's arsenal. "The modifications you have made to our technology should not be possible," Science Minister Velthok admitted during one of the technical discussions. "Our designs were perfected over thousands of years. How did you improve them in just a few months?" Lieutenant Colonel Park Sunho, who had led the team that first captured a Veltharian cruiser, smiled as he answered. "Your designs were perfected, for your way of thinking. We approached the same problems from a completely different perspective. Sometimes a fresh viewpoint is more valuable than centuries of experience." The truth was that humans had done more than just copy alien technology. They had understood the principles behind it and then redesigned everything to work better. Human engineers had identified inefficiencies in Veltharian systems that the aliens had never noticed because they had been using the same basic designs for so long. Private Yoon Jaemin, now a lieutenant in the Earth Defense Force, was part of the security detail for the negotiations. He had gone from fighting guerrilla actions in the Amazon rainforest to serving aboard humanity's most advanced starship. The transformation still amazed him sometimes. Sergeant Bae Jin-won had been promoted to major and was responsible for training the crews of captured alien vessels. His experience in unconventional warfare had made him an expert in finding creative solutions to complex problems. He had developed new tactical doctrines that combined human innovation with alien technology. Lieutenant Choi Sora, now a commander herself, managed all communications between human and alien forces. Her quantum encryption networks had evolved into a galaxy-spanning communication system that was more secure and efficient than anything the Veltharian Empire used. The negotiations covered more than just the immediate ceasefire. The aliens were being forced to provide reparations for their attempted invasion. They would give humans access to star charts showing the locations of other civilizations, advanced manufacturing equipment, and detailed technical information about technologies they had developed. "What assurance do we have that humans will not use this technology to attack our core worlds?" Admiral Kreshitar asked during one session. Commander Lee Do-yun leaned back in his chair and considered the question. "You have the same assurance that Earth had when your fleet arrived in our system. None at all. The difference is that we are not interested in conquering other species. We just want to make sure that no one ever tries to enslave humanity again." The implicit threat was clear to everyone in the room. Humans now possessed technology that could threaten the Veltharian Empire's home planets. They had proven that they could adapt and improve any technology they captured. If the Empire ever tried to attack Earth again, humans would be ready for them. Dr. Park Min-ji had been studying the star charts that the aliens provided, looking for other civilizations that might need assistance against Veltharian expansion. She had identified several species that were currently under threat from the Empire and might benefit from human intervention. "There is something else we want to discuss," she said to Admiral Kreshitar. "Your empire has a long history of conquering primitive civilizations. We want you to cease all expansion activities and withdraw from systems where you are currently occupying unwilling populations." The demand shocked the Veltharian delegation. They had come to negotiate the withdrawal of their forces from Earth, not the restructuring of their entire empire. But they were in no position to refuse. Human ships were already patrolling the outer edges of their territory, and more were being built every day. Captain Kim Hyok had led several reconnaissance missions to Veltharian border worlds, gathering intelligence about the Empire's military capabilities and political structure. What he found was a civilization that was much weaker than their reputation suggested. Their power had always been based on intimidation rather than actual strength. "The choice is simple," Commander Lee Do-hyun explained. "You can withdraw peacefully from the worlds you have conquered and accept restrictions on future expansion, or you can face the consequences of continued aggression. Humans are very good at learning from our experiences, and we have learned a lot about fighting Veltharian forces." The final agreement was signed 3 days later. The Veltharian Empire would withdraw all forces from Earth's solar system within 1 standard month. They would provide the promised reparations and technical information. Most importantly, They would cease all aggressive expansion and begin withdrawing from worlds where local populations requested independence. Admiral Kreshtar signed the documents with a heavy heart. The mighty Veltharian Empire, which had dominated this region of the galaxy for thousands of years, was being forced to accept terms dictated by a species they had intended to enslave. As the alien ships prepared to depart Earth's system, Commander Lee Do-yun stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship and watched them go. The ships that had once seemed so threatening now looked almost primitive compared to the hybrid vessels that humans had built. "What happens now?" Captain Kim Hyok asked as he joined Lee Do-hyun at the observation window. "Now we explore," Lee Do-hyun replied. "There are thousands of other civilizations out there, and many of them probably need help dealing with bullies like the Veltharians. We have the technology and the experience to make a difference." Dr. Park Min-ji was already planning humanity's first interstellar exploration missions. The captured star charts showed the locations of hundreds of inhabited worlds, some of which had never been contacted by any spacefaring civilization. Humans would be able to approach them as friends and allies rather than conquerors. Lieutenant Colonel Park Sun-ho was designing new ship classes that would be built specifically for peaceful exploration and diplomacy. These vessels would carry the best human and alien technology, but they would be equipped for science and communication rather than warfare. As Earth's first interstellar fleet prepared to launch, the people of Earth reflected on the incredible transformation their world had undergone. 6 months ago, they had been a single-planet species with primitive space technology. Now, they were the dominant military power in their region of the galaxy. The Veltharian invasion had been intended to add Earth to a long list of conquered worlds. Instead, it had created something that the galaxy had never seen before. A human civilization that combined advanced alien technology with the determination and creativity that had allowed them to survive and thrive on their home planet for thousands of years. The aliens had boasted of their superiority until humanity showed them what true power felt like. Not the power to dominate weaker species, but the power to overcome any challenge, adapt to any situation, and never give up, no matter how impossible the odds might seem. As the first human ships jumped to faster than light speed and disappeared into the void between stars, Earth's children began their journey to transform the galaxy in ways that no alien empire had ever imagined possible.